All right, welcome to another episode of the Lookout Podcast. While I get my stuff together here. Second podcast in the river cabin from the Smithless trip. That's kind of nickname right now, Smithless, because it's originally planned, as you may have heard from the last podcast, this trip was originally planned to go to the Smith River in Montana, kind of near White Sulphur. Drew the permit, lucky enough, but unluckily, it dried up. Bit of a drought out in that country. But currently, my guest today is Greg Schenk, longtime friend. Thank you for doing this, Greg.
Yeah, man, this is great. I never thought we'd be podcasting together. Never thought you'd even start a podcast.
I know, man. Yeah,
Here we are.
Yeah, kind of like blue. It's weird how life kind of works, man. Like,
yeah.
And kind of just started off as like fire stories. Like that's kind of the birthplace of this thing. It's just folks, that we knew. I mean, kind of like us growing up in like small towns, and then just all the other different walks of life that come into the fire world. And I was like, man, everyone's got kind of cool stories. Like to get it down on podcast and show kind of what we talk about on the fire line, or just out there, patrolling in an engine some days.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of adventure to be had with fire. I think a lot of people join it because it is romantic, And when I first started, it was just like I had no freaking clue what I was doing. I've reflected back on that a lot, and like my time in, like I'm on my 20th season, dude. Like
that is wild, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's a lot to unpack there, but just to have I had a district ranger who was my neighbor that I grew up with, who taught me like anything and all things, like how to hunt, pretty much.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
like big
cool,
boy
man.
stuff,
Yeah,
backpacking kind of stuff. And then during that time, I was getting old enough. It was between my junior and senior year, but I was getting old enough to where I was 18. I could join the Forest Service. He's like, "Have you ever thought about the Forest Service?" I was like, "I have no clue what you're talking about right now."
Yeah.
All I know is that what he was doing, and it was just outdoorsy, and that's all I wanted. So, and here we are.
Absolutely,
fast
man.
forward 20 years, and it goes in a blink of an eye. But
yeah.
During that time, man, I think, there's a lot of good stories. I mean, just talking to you and BK, it's like you guys have done some crazy stuff, and it's cool, man. It's romantic.
Yeah, it really is, man. I mean, that's why this, like lookouts, like lookout podcasts, like there's a lot of like books and just like people living these cool lives out in the middle of nowhere on top of a mountaintop, like going to Bob Marshall and all these lookouts, and like now I'm on Instagram and I'm friends with all these lookouts. I'm like, man, like just a different side of things, man. Like I've spent some time on a lookout, but not like a whole season,
Yeah.
So it's cool, man. And like, I did not know your district ranger. I think you may have told me that, but I didn't know it was your neighbor, I guess.
Yeah, I grew up with him. Well, not just him, but he was like a block away, and he had like 3 boys, all just great humans, and spent a lot of time with him, and he'd wake me up at 4 a.m,
really?
and go hunt,
Oh, yeah.
And he taught me a lot, man. And
awesome.
He's been retired for another maybe 10, 15 years now, 10 years, but just like the hard, like the Grant Godbolts.
Yeah.
Kind of like district rangers, just hard dudes, man.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Even in his 50s and 60s, he's still getting after it and hunting, you
yeah.
know?
Like Grant, when I was, in Whitehall, and such a humble dude, no idea he smoke jumped, like back in the day when like those parachutes were pretty rough, man. like you were hitting the ground pretty hard, and your opening shock, and depending on when he was jumping, was pretty hard, it was like not as fun, I would say. Like, I mean, fun still, but different beast. And like you said, working in his 50s, he ended up retiring out of range, right? Wasn't it? You got into range? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was a district ranger, got into range. And like, I remember there was like, what was looking like to me a water dog, but I was pretty new, and we were on a fire. So I get it. Like, they were going to go check it out. But I mean, he hiked up some new folks. Luckily, not me, but like up this hill where these, young, in shape folks were like having a hard time keeping up, man. And this guy's in his 50s. It's like, that was kind of like what I wanted to be after seeing that too. I was like, I wasn't, like, part of my lazy side was kind of like, oh man, glad I'm not there. But also part of me was like, that's really cool, like to be in that long of a career and still hiking, chasing a possible smoke, end up being a water dog. But it's like, a lot of lightning hit that area, man. So he didn't want to leave any rock unturned. And maybe he was giving some folks a PT hike. I mean, who knows,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Grant's solid, man. And I don't know, man, I've being on this trip, and I've talked to you and BK and Carl, Bronson's dad, But I was like, this is the first time in 20 summers where I've taken short trips, 3-4 days, but to actually take extended time off, like 5 to 7 days in the middle of summer. I've never done that ever. So I'm just like, holy heck, man, this is great. And I think it's important to do that,
Yeah. Having a chance to get out and actually like enjoy the state we live in, Montana, and like not just like be out in the woods fighting fire and enjoying it, which has its upsides. I mean, I've been to a lot of places I've never would have gone to, and typically out of state, but to be able to do it, like enjoy a summer now, on the river is amazing, man. So this trip is hopefully like we were talking like in the last podcast, and we talked about even on this trip is like hopefully this is like kind of a push to keep us doing these kind of things and taking time, man. Like people don't understand, like it is a short season, fire season, but it takes up your entire life for that season. You don't get to, I mean, most people, because you're so whooped, you don't want to go out and like spend your 2 R&R days, now 3, thank God, doing anything like in the woods or outside. Like I want to be inside with air conditioning in a bed, like typically, especially have a busy season,
Yeah. Well, it takes its toll, man, and last year was super long. And after the season was over, gave me some time to really kind of think about, like, is this really worth it? 1, the job, and 2, is the money worth it,
Yeah.
When you start knocking on 1,000 to 1,300 hours of overtime, and that's not some sort of weird flex, man. I was making a push pretty hard to see how hard I could go, and there was a lot of people that were asking for help, man. And I was super busy, but
especially last season.
Yeah, dude. And after going through all that, man, and like through the winter, it was rough. I'll be honest with you, and so.
And decompressing after a season too, man. That's something that we've talked about at length. The mental health of it, and I think it seems like it's getting more traction in bigger circles about the mental health thing, because your brain has a weird time switching from like what I imagine is somewhat similar to like people serving overseas, where it's like you have your mission, your daily things you do every day, and then all of a sudden it's just like a switch, it's over, and like as a seasonal too, like even anybody, like fire season ends, it's like all right, time to maybe start doing the job that I've been putting off all summer. For me, knobbing fuels. Going out and doing some fuels work, man. Getting some areas surveyed and ready for contract work, logging, thinning, burning, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Which I'm just guessing if that's stuff I'll be doing. I think it will be.
Yeah, it will be. It will be.
That's what I figured, man. Like you get on the fuel side of things too, man. Like it's a good transition from fire. Like you still get the option to go on some fires and Oh, and I also want to tag on, man, my brain's a little scattered right now, but I want to tag on like what you said about like it being needed like last season. I mean, they're so thin on overhead positions, task force, man. Like that, like I did a little stint in dispatch last year towards the end of the season or middle to end of the season. And, man, it was eye-opening to see like UTF, unable to fill so many, in our back door, lost trail fire, lost. Yeah.
Trail Creek.
Trail Creek, that's what it was. I keep wanting to say Lost Trail because it's like right there at the ski hill. Yeah, so, I mean, that was a share between our forests, the Bitterroot and the Beaverhead Deer Lodge. And, I mean, 2 forests still trying to scramble for overhead positions, Yeah.
Yeah, it was tough, man. I think I might have had 1 qualified task force leader.
Jeez.
And I was on trail 2 stints on that. I was on the haystack. And, like, that whole time, like, UTFs, heavy equipment bosses, and task force leaders, So I don't know how that gap came to be. I do see a transition, like with the 2000, 2001 fire hire. Those folks are like might have 5 to 7 years left. To retire, and so there's a gap. There's a gap in there somewhere. I really can't put my finger on it.
I don't either, man, because we're getting more experience as like our generation getting out more, but it seems like the progression, for quals is slow. I don't know if that's some people's red card committees or just the opportunities to get out as those positions, because I think maybe sometimes it's like I'm an engine boss, so like for example me, like they're like, well, they need a task force, but we also need an engine boss on the district, so it's like we'd love to help you advance your career, but we also can't be thin because we need engine boss to bring the engine out on fires, so
there's a huge need there.
I
see that for sure, man.
So, I mean, this is spitballing, so, possible things. Just kind of trying to see the holes, and I know everyone else is seeing and talking about what we're talking about, but.
Yeah, and I think it's important to, I mean, I've never been a hot shot. I think I filled on Lewis and Clark a number of years ago.
Yeah, but, so you got a little taste.
Yeah, you look at those guys and gals that do that for that long, for like 1,000 to 1,500 hours of overtime, back to back to back to back. We're going to have issues, like in the brain,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
postseason, dude. Because seasonal depression's a serious thing, man. And
Yeah.
I don't know if we need to talk about all the depression stuff, but
I mean, a little bit. Yeah. I mean, like I've been wanting to bring it up and talk about with some folks, because we talk about it a lot, even at the district, at the jump base, all the places I've worked, it's come up and it's starting to come up more because what people don't get is that, and on the outside, I'm saying, like people in the Forest Service and in the BLM and state and contracts, like everybody who's in the wildland kind of sees it, but it's fire season is just a beast, and I guess the public sees it because they see it usually in the Weather Channel or news. California's always burning up, houses threatening. It's like that didn't happen when we were kids, So it's like our generation is coming up in this wild wildfire scene,
Yeah.
Like,
no, I think it's important just to get it out there and that it does exist. One, and two, like just know that like there are people and resources available, and that's probably the most important thing. And find time to do things like this.
Yeah.
Find out what fills your cup.
Yeah, that's a good point, man.
And
get those hobbies, man. Like,
yeah, man.
Fire, especially fire, and I'm sure there's a bunch of other professions and things that take up your time, like fire. But like, man, I mean, it is really like it's easy to get sucked in and have it be your world, and it's not really good. I don't, at least in my opinion, for mental health. Because it ends. Or it wears you out. Like you said, 1,000 hours and plus. That's a lot of hours to be working, man, in a short period of time,
Yeah, and you can't make commitments, It's like if you're waiting for a phone call, or not necessarily waiting for a phone call, but if you were bound to a phone and a phone call at midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning saying, hey, you got to start somewhere. And that was my life for a lot of years,
Yep.
And it sucked.
It does, man. It wears on you.
2 o'clock in the morning, you get a call from your FMO like, hey, we got to start. Go check it out. It's like, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, man. It's still going to be there, daylight. So next day. But
that's a good point, though, because like now it's urgent. I even talked to the FMO on the Bitterroot about this last year where he's like, yeah, I mean, like we'd watch a bus come in at the end of shift, and you just like make sure you had it marked on the map and a really good idea of where to get it and best access, and you could sit on. You could like sit and wait and see like that one. If it goes anywhere, we're probably good. That one's gonna bump a road maybe, but this one, we should probably go check it out tomorrow morning. But like you had time. Like now you don't have time. That really resonated nicely. Did you hear that?
Yeah, that was really good. It got a nice ring to it.
Yeah, tuning.
Try not to do that ever again.
Yeah, well, I mean, hit the I think heater / swamp cooler. I don't know.
Yeah,
I've been in this place like my whole life, and I still don't know what this thing is behind me. I think it's just a heater, but yeah, I mean, like you said, man, that's really important, man. Disconnect, work life and hobbies. What is it? Work, play, relationship. It's big, and relationships like. Like we don't have to go around this road too much farther because it's not super fun to talk about, but being able to get help, I don't know if I talked about it on the last podcast, but like it hit me hard when I went in the jump world because one of the guys that was backfilling had committed suicide in December, in the off season. So one of us going through rookie training was backfilling that, and man, small community of Winthrop and Twist, man, like that was felt hard, man. Not not on a big scale, but that was my world at the time in smoke jumping, and a lot of people's worlds being related, friend, family, loved one, whatever, man. And his tour film, awesome tour film, was still playing in the jump base, man. So that was a hard felt one. I never met the guy, but it's still like, geez, man, it's just brutal, like happens more than it should,
Yeah, man. Just talking to Bronson and just with him starting a new job in West. And the fact that he's been able to take the time off to take care of home base, is super important. Yeah. And I've worked in a few places that don't give two shits, pardon my French, about that. It's like, man. So, people make the world go around. And that's, if you can't support people, then you're in it for all the wrong reasons, so.
Yeah, man, and your workforce is going to go, man. We don't pay enough to keep them. Like before the wage was competitive, and it's starting to get back there, but, it's always going to be behind, I think, just from my view, and just the pay grade. I mean, everyone's like, oh, we get paid in sunsets, we get paid in mountains, we get paid in views. Yeah. Yeah.
And divorces.
And divorces, yeah, that's what I was going to say, yeah. Like, so,
I don't know.
No, that's an excellent point, man. I mean, it's so hard to keep a family, and, like, I remember, dude, God, I'm sorry if I said this on the podcast before, but, like, Craig Howells, we know him, great guy. Yeah. Like, my first crew assignment was to Petersburg, and I believe it's called the Whetstone Fire. We hike in. At this point, I haven't had surgery, so my Crohn's disease is ramping up hard. I don't even know what's going on because no one knew what Crohn's was back then. I didn't know what it was. I had the damn thing, and so I'm on like crackers and tuna. It's like all like I can like stomach without like going to cramps and like having it coming out of both ends. So I'm trying to like, I'm excited. I want to be on my first crew. We hike in, kind of decently easy fire. Days are getting shorter. Like our RHs are going up, or relative humidity. Especially nighttime. So like we're getting some help there and quite a bit of resource available. And the first or second night, man, Craig Howells is around the fire, and I'm just kind of hanging out, man, just relaxing and eating my crackers and tuna. And he's drinking coffee with other McDonald, not the Craig McDonald, but
Charlie.
Yep, him and Charlie are just hanging out, just kind of, talking about life and stuff, and it gets, this quiet pause, man, and like it's like something out of a movie, man. I'm just like sitting there, and I'm not talking because I'm a new guy, fresh, first year, so I'm just kind of like trying to listen, to what they have to say, and Greg kind of takes a big deep breath, man. He's like, "It's my kid's birthday today." I was like, "What?"
Snap.
Yeah, I was like, "It's what, dude?" He's like, "It's my kid's birthday today, man," and sucks. And I was like, "Dude," and back then cell phones were real garbage. Like there's no cell phone service up there, and access to a satellite phone was not a thing either back then, really.
Right.
So like no communication back home. But there was no one on the forest that could take the crew out. And he knew guys like me going back to school, like we all needed every bit of overtime that year. That was back in 2008 or 2007. I can't remember. 2008, I think. And he's like, "Bro, that's brutal, man. But there's no one there to like make that okay. Like he just eats that and, moves on and, spends more time with his kid, I guess, when he gets home. But man, that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. Kind of to backtrack a little bit, you remember the cactus fire we were on?
Yeah, man. That was like my first big fire.
Yeah, dude. And I have a vivid memory of you laying on the deck of this home that was right at the anchor point.
Yeah.
And you were a shit sandwich, man. Like you were hurting bad, dude. I was like, what is going on? Like, did you have a bad MRE or what?
Yeah.
And I think it was right when you discovered that you had an issue, but couldn't put your finger on it when it came to Crohn's or whatever it was,
Yep.
Yeah, I remember you laying back there, your tears are rolling out of your eyes. I'm like, dude, you are not good. We got to get you out of here, man. Like,
yeah, dude,
it was rough.
Yeah, like those pain.
It was
tears.
rough for me. I can't imagine what kind of pain you were in, dude.
Dude, and like me being an idiot, I'm thinking like, oh, dude, I'm just like letting everybody down. Like, I barely made it off the hill. Like barely, like I was cramping so bad. And at the time, I think I knew I had prednisone, or I knew I had Crohn's. Yeah. But I had prednisone, and I had taken my dose of what I was supposed to take that day. It didn't touch it, right? So like, I ate those things down like Skittles, man, like way more than you probably should take. Right. And it still wasn't doing anything, man. And I'm just like, and as I'm going down the hill, it's cramping. My guts are cramping more and more, like a vicious cramp. And I'm like, can't barely stand up. So as soon as I get, like you said, down to that cabin, I just like sit down on the deck, or just lay back on the deck. And like you said, I'm just like fighting those cramps. And like you said, tears are rolling out. And it's not like I'm sad. It's like I'm just like that much pain. And then finally, like prednisone starts kicking in a little bit, and starts relieving. But yeah. That was brutal, man.
Yeah, that was rough. It was rough for everybody around. It was
like,
we gotta get you out of here, dude.
Yeah. I remember getting, they're feeding us in town. I think the Land of Magic was still there. So they're like, we were going to Land of Magic, and I couldn't eat, because I was like still wrecked. And like, it was super cool, Land of Magic, to hook us up like that. I mean, probably getting paid, but, it's still nice. And everyone's having like steaks or whatever. And I'm just like, I'm going to drink some water.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Got to pass whatever's going on right now.
Yeah, exactly. Let that subside. And I mean, I don't know if you remember, but I was a stick, like, because I had no idea I couldn't keep food down, So like, then, I had my surgery and finally got on some decent medication and, came back around and gave me some good motivation, because then the next season, man, I was like, I had like that guilt of like not being able to carry my weight. Yeah. So next season I was coming back hard, dude. Like I think I put on like, I would say 20 pounds at least. Cause I think at my biggest I was 160, and by the end of that summer I was probably, 140, like I had lost so much weight that season, just not be able to eat and just like having everything just like coming out, man, like shit in my pants and just like, or if if the cramps got real bad, I'd be puking. So I was like, oh man, like brutal.
That's not good.
No. So like, and I was in college track at the time. So I was running track, and I was like, how am I going to compete? So yeah. Getting that back under control was big, but it still kind of haunts me a little bit, like I got out of smoke jumping. Part of the reason 2 reasons. Crohn's was, like I started like finally realized like, man, my health is more important than a job.
Right.
And then also like home life, like you said, man, like smoke jumping is awesome, but it can become more than a full-time job because like Region 8, which is down south for everybody who doesn't know, down in the southeast, and they don't have the workforce that we do. So in the winter, to make money and make extra money, you go down there, so it's like kind of fighting fire year round, potentially. And that was wearing me down too, and it's hard to say no to, extra money,
Yeah, it's great down there.
Yeah, it is, man.
It's good living.
Yeah, it's really good living. People are awesome.
Good living.
Yeah, getting more burning than I had ever done. So
yeah.
So it's kind of a down way to start the podcast off, but it's real, I guess.
Yeah, it is real, man. But I was just thinking about that this week, and we've only been here for a couple days now, but yeah, it's important. It's important to take time and enjoy it and be with good people, and navigate ways. One, like I said before, just take care of home base and be able to come and do this kind of stuff, and then when it's your time to reciprocate that, with the other half, you got to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's important, man.
And I think that's like where our leadership hopefully is going to be a little different. And it's just because I think we grew up in this, so like recognizing like someone's like, hey, I got a wedding. Do it, man. We'll figure it out. Yeah. Do it. Instead of being like, man, you signed up for this. Like, You're here. And that's kind of, whether it was said or not said in the beginning of my fire career, that's how it felt, So
yeah, you kind of feel bound to it. 1 and 2, it's you're trying to earn your keep too, especially when you're young. First couple seasons.
Yeah, man.
It's like you're here for a reason, and it's just exercise and communication when it comes down to it. With your supervisor and trying to navigate ways to get the support. 1 and 2, go do it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like being college kids, like we were in the Forest Service, like great college job, man. Like there's not too many jobs that like you can make a pretty good amount of money in a short period of time, and they're okay with you leaving 3 months in. If like you're, if you get hired on late, say June, and then you got to leave by June, July, August. So yeah, end of August typically, so 3-ish months, Yep. And I know I was doing construction before because it used to be really hard to get on with anybody, Forest Service, BLM, state. So once I got the opportunity, I was like, man, I don't want to lose this, man. I want to stay with this because they helped me out, So yeah. But I think it's coming around. So like the leadership thing, I guess what I was getting back to is that us recognizing it and growing up in this, because it's new, man. This is last, like our careers, like 2011 things were kicking up. 2012 was pretty heavy. I know the fires of 2000 were big, but I was in high school, so I was, didn't really see that. But
yeah, oh, it's become a reality. These big fires and stuff, and these campaign fires, and then in a lot of when you're in like PL 4 or 5 for nationally, it's like everybody's strapped, right?
Yeah.
And so if you can't get what you need, generally what you do is go indirect.
Yeah.
Right? And so then it's like, okay, what's our planning area look like? We talk about big box. But it's not a great term, but what is our confine and contain strategy and where we're going with things, And that has longevity. It's like, yes, this thing will be here until the snow flies and potentially beyond. So
yeah. Was the Wallow Fire, was that 2011, I think, right? Or 2010, the Wallow Fire from New Mexico to Arizona? Like, that was the first time I ever saw, like, the big box thing. Like,
big.
Yeah, because we talked about the big box thing all the time in training, but, like, I never had to really see it implemented, and that was like, oh, well, this thing is not stopping. Right. Like, we get way out ahead of it. Like, what communities is this going to affect? What people, like, agriculture, people's lives, like, I mean, going and cutting fences, like, that's the rush, man. Like the rush of the situation, not the rush of like excitement rush. That's like the time crunch of like, holy cow, we need to cut fences, we need to get things moving, like we need to make sure animals can escape, it's definitely different,
Yeah, things are changing, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess the point being is just take time for yourself and if you have the ability to do that, And I know like the shot crews are beefing up numbers, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's huge.
Navigating ways to still be made whole and then have people, go to weddings, go do whatever, and that's super important. 3 days off is amazing. So positive changes, man, which is good.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. Really, really important, man. Take that time, enjoy life, You only get a few, so many days, I guess, like, geez, my friend Jonah sent me a picture the other day, and it was like Snoopy and Charlie Brown. And it was like, I think it was like Charlie's like, oh, Snoopy, you only live once. And he's like, no, Charlie, you live every day, you know?
Right.
And I can't remember how it ended, but it was kind of like, get out there and, make every day count kind of deal, and like kind of caught me in the feels. You know? My friend Jonah.
Heartstrings.
Yeah, exactly. Especially, my friend Jonah just he just beat a cancerous tumor. Not really beat it, it got removed. He's getting treatment for it. And so like, that stuff's like, man, it's tough, especially when it happens to someone that's like, that you care about, that you really like. We played hockey together. He's an awesome guy, great boss,
Got to work with him last year.
Did you?
Yeah, towards the tail end, he came in as planning ops on trail.
Yeah.
And Alder, he's nails. He's great, man.
Great guy.
And I heard about that and wish the best for him, man.
Yeah.
Seemed like a really good dude. This is the first time I ever met him, but
yeah. I mean, they're one of those people, man. Like, and there's a lot of them out there, man. Like, especially in the wildland world, man, or just in the profession we are. I don't know what BLMD and our C4 service. The three main ones. Contract crews. Yeah. Like these people you meet, man, powerful. Like just similar. Cut from similar cloth. Yeah. But yeah, so definitely matters.
Cool, man.
Yeah. So on a fishing trip and getting skunked. So
right.
This is our third day of fishing. It's technically second day of the trip, and taking time to not catch fish so far. But I don't know if they can see it on camera, but the boys are out here just killing it right now. We got Ricky, Cody, and Jerry, and Jerry's hauled in a couple since the last podcast I did, and now the rest of the boys are out there giving it their best.
Yeah. If anything, they're cooling the boys off.
Yeah, exactly. Because that Missouri River water is super cold.
Yeah, it's great, dude. I'm really humbled and thankful that you called me a couple months ago saying, hey, we had an opportunity to go on the Smith, and I had to pivot to this, which is just as good, man. It's super fun, super relaxing for me, and it's just good people. Been eating good. I see your brother Caleb. He's gonna roll out there and probably slay some fish right in front of everybody. But
yeah, exactly. Make everybody feel bad.
Yeah. But thank you, man. It's super nice.
Dude, thank you for coming, man. Thanks for being the podcast and everything, dude. I appreciate you a lot, man. Like that's why we've been friends for so long. And dude, I was gonna talk to you about like the Forest Service. Being 18, you gotta be. That's when you can be in the Forest Service, and you being in high school and be able to do it. Like, you got like thrown in a world of adults as like kind of a young kid.
Yeah.
Like even though you're 18, it's still like you're in high school. So like, it's amazing how much it like matures you and kind of changes your perspective a little bit on stuff. It feels like to me.
Yeah, it was crazy to come back to my senior year and being in really good shape, and then just like I had a couple T-shirts, because that was a thing back then. I don't buy them anymore, but
totally.
They're like, "What'd you do this summer?" I was like, it's Wild and Fire, They're like, what is that? I was like, I don't really know yet, but
I'm still figuring that part out.
All I know is my first fire I got helicoptered into and got dropped off for 2 weeks and ate MREs,
Really?
Oh yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, it was actually right outside of Lost Trail.
Oh really? Wow, man.
Pretty wild, man. This is a really cool story. It still resonates with me. So we ended up at the we were in Lost Trail for a little bit, but before that we were on the
I wish I was in fire. I could tell you, but I can't bump you.
Oh, yeah, man. I can't remember. Anyway, we flew out of Lost Trail. So we go up there and get spiked out, and it was the Black Frog, and it was actually the Trail Creek this last year.
The name of the fire is Black Frog?
Black Frog, yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Anyway, so we roll in there, and I'm just like, I'm in a helicopter as an 18-year-old punk, fly in there.
Never been in a helicopter before?
Never shit in my pants. Freaked out.
Right,
yeah.
And a lot of people don't get to fly in helicopters, so I just want to touch on this. Like, when you take off, it is the weirdest feeling, and I haven't felt it in anything else in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you get like a little bit of zero G, like right off when the skids leave the earth, and it's like, whoa. And then you get this weird floating feeling, and it's like, it's not like a plane at all, Yeah. Until you're like flying, and then it kind of feels more like it, but still different.
Yeah, it was nuts, man. And the fire wasn't too crazy. I mean, we had to play Frogger with a couple rolling logs and stuff, but
that gets a little sporty.
But anyway, yeah, it's that one resonated with me, and that was my first little taste on just a little taste on with like tragedy fires and stuff.
Oh shoot!
So when we came back, we flew back into Lost Trail, and then Kramer happened.
Oh, and that was that year, huh? Jeez,
yeah.
I keep thinking Kramer was like a lifetime ago, man.
Yeah, and I won't say any names, but my crew boss knew the individuals that had passed away. And I just remember coming back to camp, not knowing what the heck was going on.
Yeah.
And then I saw his tent. His tent was just like ransacked, you know. And I know this guy personally, but I won't say his name. But
Yeah.
and I was just like, I'm like, what freaking happened, dude? Like,
Dude, that's a hard intro, man.
Yeah, and back then I really didn't understand what that all was and meant, or like, because I wasn't really educated on tragedy fires or anything like that, or what, it didn't really impact me.
Yeah. And to kind of back that up, man, not to cut you off, but like when you first get in fire, you have so much information to download. Dude. Like you hear about the tragedy fires, and like you go over trainings and stuff, and like now, especially now, we have anniversaries, and probably back then we did too, but like I was the same way, man. I came out of guard school, and you get so much information. I'm just like trying to figure out which end of the plastic to use, you know, like, and then all of a sudden, you know, like you get that, you know, and that's crazy, man. That's like super high, you know, like on your first fire, cool name, Black Frog, really cool, and then tragedy fire. I mean, that's like, dude, 180, you know.
I was just like, I came back after that summer and had a couple different fires I was on, but I was just like, what am I getting myself into? I like it. I like the challenging aspect of it. The physical aspect of it, and the fact that I'm outside was super cool, man. And again, it was romantics, but then you fast forward and grow and move around, and I don't know, man. Looking back, I'm a direct recipient of influence, and I've thought about this in the last couple of months. I'm like, how in the hell did I get to where I am, or why? You know, it's because of people, right? And influence, and these people that have impacted me. My next door neighbor, who was a district ranger at the time, a good friend of mine, gave me an opportunity, and was like, and that was back in the day. He's like, hey, it's like, you want to come work for the Forest Service? I was like, great, that sounds awesome. Outside stuff. Yeah. And then I bring in a resume in, a paper copy of a resume, and they were like, that was back before like anything was digital, right? And they're just like here you go. Yep. And to fast forward to where I am now, and all those experiences in between. Yeah. I have a lot to be thankful for.
Yeah, it's super cool, man. I guess like to tie into like that history a little bit is me and Greg met because of fire, but like kind of met in the football field, and you guys trashed us, and pretty much my whole high school career. I don't know if we ever beat you. Maybe in JV game, maybe like we might have beat you guys, but
probably
like
not. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, probably not, dude. You guys are killers, dude. Like you guys came and crushed my senior night.
Yeah, I remember getting spit on going back in too.
Oh god,
Whitehall's a rough crowd.
Oh man, dude, they were
like, what are we doing?
Yeah, like you know, that's not nice, but like you know, other than that though, man, diehards. Like I remember playing some teams like when we'd be up, like you know, like didn't happen that often, but when we were up on a team, like their home crowd was like, all right, well, you know, this one's over, and they leave. Yeah. But like the Whitehall crowd, man, especially the student section, we still like going hard.
Yeah, it's like we're at a college game, dude.
Yeah, we're getting smashed with your JV.
It's like we just took down Georgia or something, dude. It's like, it's good.
It was, it's, oh man, that feeling is like no other. You know, Friday Night Lights, you know, like Friday Night Under the Lights, and like, look, I scored a touchdown, so I didn't feel so bad that game. But I remember my coach, and I think your guys' coach got mad because I was talking to, you know, Pat and Bill after the game, and just like, you got us, man, like, and just kind of winding down. And I think my coach kind of got mad, and your guys' coach then got a little mad, but it was like, oh man, we're old buddies, you know, and catching up.
Yeah, you look back at that shit, it was just like, I really love playing football, man. Yeah. I remember getting so jacked up before the kickoff, man. I would bonk like on the kickoff, and then finally I'd come back up and out of it. But
dude, me too, man.
It was super fun, man. Yeah. It was kind of a sentimental looking back. It's just like, oh, that was good. I still get jacked up. You know, national anthem. I'm like, horse race, and dude, I'm kind of bouncing back and forth. I'm like, I miss high school football, which it's high school football.
Exactly.
But, you know, it's just like whatever.
Yeah, but exactly. But I'm with you,
loved
man.
It, man.
Like, yeah, the memories and the feeling, like you don't get those everywhere, man. Like you don't realize when you're in it, but like you know. That, you know, the smell of the grass and, you know, stinky football, you know, like, the pep band, you know, the pep band was just like butchering some music, you know?
The same 3 songs over and over again. Little money.
Yeah, and Smoke on the Water is what we always play. Yeah,
dude.
You know, like.
Yeah, it was good days, man.
Yeah. And so, kind of knew each other then, you know, and God, you guys were huge on the line then. And then, you know, fast forward a few years later, like I kind of recognized you when I was just like coming to hang out with like Loveney and a few guys at the bunkhouse before I got on. You know, all my friends were working, and then you know, a couple years later, like you know, I didn't think I was ever gonna get out of the Forest Service. I was kind of pursuing other stuff, and then you know, like Bronson and Simons and I think Schmitty, like, or Samps or somebody, like, kind of was like, hey man, you should throw in this year. Like, we've heard about you and want to pick you up, because I talked to him a bunch my senior year, but no, there wasn't any slots.
Yeah.
So ended up on, and then I didn't live in the bunkhouse the first year, but you were in there, so like I'd come hang out a bunch after work, and then man, we've been best buds ever since. And so it's been super cool to see. And to loop this back into what you're talking about, like, just career-wise, man. Like, we started in the same place. You went to Lincoln, and then came back to Whitehall on the perm, because it's so hard to get a perm then.
Yeah, dude.
And I'm telling your story, so.
No, by all means, man.
Correct me if I'm wrong on that. So.
No, you're right.
Yeah, I went to Lincoln, and then we rendezvoused with Lincoln that one night for 4th of July. It was super cool. Came up and hung out and hit the bars. And
yes.
Yeah, it was a good night, dude. Man, Lincoln's a good time.
Yeah.
And then you come back, and then, which was kind of cool, because then you like, you were fresh eyes out in the outside world, and I'm still working for the Butte Jeff and on the district, and like getting antsy. I remember, like, I was getting even a little sour, man. Like, I was just like, man, I needed something new. I didn't know it though, so I was getting like kind of sour, and a chip on my shoulder a little bit, and I think you and, like, Joe Barron saw it. I remember you guys kind of give me some shit after work one day, and it's just like, or during work, we were like the last half hour just kind of cleaning up, and I'm just like, I don't even know why. I'm just like, getting.
What am I doing here?
Yeah, kind of, man. Like, god dang it, man. Like, but not knowing that's what it was going on, I was just like, kind of sour, and then like did a bunch of details that year, and that really helped out. Going to Great Northern and stuff, and then leaving to go jump, and. Yeah, now you're in the BLM, man, crazy changes in the old career.
Yeah, man, and it goes quick.
It does, dude.
And I don't know. Again, the influence. I've had a lot of really shitty supervisors, but I've had some great ones. And I think the best ones that I've had were ones that one recognized that I was willing to take things on.
Yeah.
But also being fiercely loyal, and then like saying, hey man, if you want to cry uncle, you can cry uncle. We'll order up a type 3 IC, but I think you can take this. And my phone's on all the time, and Smitty told me that.
Yeah.
That was on, like, I was fresh, man. When I came back from Lincoln, I had just been signed off on my engine boss.
Yeah.
And I was an IC5.
Yeah.
And then I walk into the office, and there's Joe Barron's. So it was me and Joe. We were missing an engine foreman.
Yeah.
Joe was an assistant. We didn't have an AFMO at the time.
Yeah.
And then we had a pretty lean times. It was the busiest season that I can recall ever for like local IAA.
Yeah,
and for big fires too.
Oh, totally. And our ranger was. Remember, we were in between rangers. Like we had God, what's her name? She was great for a little bit there. Remember, and then like she was gone. And
oh shoot, yeah.
Yeah, she was awesome, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember her.
She was funny, man. She's great. I wish I could remember her name, but
it's right at the tip of the tongue.
Perry or something.
Perry, Perry Sunrum.
Perry, what was it?
Sunrum. Sunrum. SUNRM.
I wonder where she ended up, man. She was awesome. Like, so supportive, dude. Like, she kind of, she got what we're doing, and she was, like, funny, come joke with us and stuff. Like, but one of the best rangers I ever had, man. That kind of changed my mind on, like, what a ranger could be, I guess, because I had no desire, and that was the first kind of, like, little spark. I was like, man, that kind of, I want to be like her, Yeah.
I'm smiling because reflecting back on a story that I'd like to share,
dude,
which is really great. And I'll try not to say any names, but I have to drop at least one name. But
yeah.
So when I came back to Whitehall, like I said earlier, we had a really busy season.
Really thin.
Yep.
All the way through.
Local IAs, big IAs. Like my first IA there was the Antelope Fire, right? Yeah. And that thing went at like 800 acres, whatever. And so I was an IC5, and trying to do the best I can. I'm just like fumbling through life, right?
Yeah, trying to figure it out.
So anyway, I ordered up aviation, and then I ordered up 2 shockers and two Type 2 IA crews.
Yeah.
So this is like day 2. Day 2 is when the pony went off.
I remember I IA'd that thing,
dude.
Yeah, remember, like, we sent the engine over, and that kind of tags on what you're talking about thin-wise.
Yeah.
We didn't have it. I was an engine boss, dude. I was an IC5 trainee, but we had no one else to run the engine, and I had enough time to where they could trust me with the engine, so I took 1 or 2 other folks, one person, I think, maybe, went and drove to Pony, Montana, and, like, stared at this column like, well, this isn't us, you know?
So I'm trying to, get to, like, instant stabilization, right? Just like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing right now, but all I do know is that when I got support, and then just ordering what I need, right?
Absolutely, man. Huge.
So I call back. I call Scooter, and I'm like, hey, man, I need 2 4-wheelers. I need you to bring them up.
Yeah.
You might remember this story.
Oh, this is a great,
So anyway, they roll out, Whitehall, and I can look down the lane. Well, I got Lolo shows up, Lolo Shots, and I'm briefing Tim.
Yeah, LaRoche.
Yeah.
Yep.
And his two captains, or his two squaddies at the time.
Yeah.
So I'm like looking down this lane, and I'm briefing these guys, and the fire behind me is going, whatever, no big deal.
Yeah.
And we're just talking. I just see a white truck with a trailer come off the highway and hit the dirt. And they're going like 70 miles an hour up this dirt road, dude. And it's just like dust. And just rolling, man. And they hit the corner of the road, hang a left, and like park. And they all jump out like they're ready to put out some fire.
Yeah,
whatever.
They're
like unstrapping. Four-wheelers, it's just one of those high-decked trailers.
Oh, I remember it,
the green high-deck trailer.
Yeah. I mean, that thing was like chest high or higher. I mean, that thing was like, probably chest high would be more normal, but it felt like it was maybe taller. But
yeah, and it was just like, I'm looking over at them as they're doing this at 100 miles an hour. I'm just like, you guys need to slow down a little bit. And then I look over at Tim. I'm like, okay, here, we got to look out up here. And it's just like, and then they get the first four-wheeler off. Fortunately, they were wearing PP&E.
Yeah.
And then the second one.
Personal protective equipment.
Yeah.
For people don't know.
Personal protective equipment. Yeah. So heads, shoulders, knees, and toes, right? Hard hat down. Or not hard hat, but a helmet, rather.
Yep.
And I'm looking at them, and they're I'm looking at Tim and his two squaddies. I think Dave was one of them. Anyway.
I'm somewhere in between you and the situation you're talking about with the engine, remember?
Yes, dude. And I'm just like, I'm looking at Tim. I'm looking back at these guys offloading the ATV. I'm like, okay, first one's down, check. And then they go for the second one, dude. And they get halfway down, and that thing rolls off and piles on top of, I won't say his name.
Yeah. Someone we used to work with.
Yeah, someone we used to work with. And I'm just like, I look over at Tim, and I'm like, hey, man, you got enough info? He's like, yeah, I'm good to go. And I walk over, and I was like, dude. I was like, what the F are you guys doing? Why are you in such a hurry? And then Matt was like, it was so-and-so, And it was just like, I mean, like dust and all that stuff. This thing was like pretty much on top of him at that point in time, man. But anyway, I'm babbling, but it's just these little like visions that I've had and memories in the past. I'm just like, how in the hell do we even like survive some of these things?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And like, the kid who got the four-wheeler on top of him, like, luckily was all right, and like was able to kind of push it off. I mean, I came because I was like, I think I was tying in with you because I was the IA resource, but like I was coming to get you because I was also helping with coordinating just stuff from the cache, like water, Gatorade, whatever. I might have just been, I don't know if I was with the engine, but either way, so I was there, but I was like halfway in between, like going over there and be like, hey, you guys got this? Yeah. But I was also, like you said, I was like, oh, all right, they got that one off.
Just piled up, dude. It's like, how in the hell? I mean, like, and that happens all the time. All that kind of stuff, man. People get hit by logs and rocks and trees and shit. But
super thin ramps and just not taking a quick pause, and
it's like, this is not urgent, guys.
Exactly. And that person's done it, a million times and just got like a little too excited. And it wasn't like you said, it wasn't that close to the ground, like unfortunately. So, but it's still like, oh man, you're making us look bad.
Kind of deal. And Tim and the crew didn't even see any of it. I'm just like, oh Jesus Christ, man.
I know that's what, like, after I made sure he was okay, and I was pretty sure he was okay, knowing the fella, and but I was like that was like one of my first thoughts, like, oh god, man, like, we're already like having a hard time keeping together in this.
Like, I don't even know what I'm doing right now, but
same.
Yeah, a lot of crazy experiences, dude, and again, it goes back to just people, and that's the nugget, if you will, to take away from working with good people, and that's the ones that are not good people that generally don't make it. So
absolutely, man. And then taking that situation and be able to go back as an AAR later, and I think you handled that great because it's like you didn't do it in front of the whole team as an AAR. You like got the Whitehall folks out there and just like, listen, guys, I get it. Like we hadn't had a lot of experience with big fires, especially on the district, on the forest, and like we got 3 at that point, remember? Because like the other one up by the Madison, took off too, remember?
Yeah, it was like antelope one day, the next day was pony, and then the bear trap.
Bear trap, that's what it was, yeah. So like, I mean, it was like a heightened feeling of like, man, we're getting our asses kicked, we're getting put to us, and really wasn't like that. It was just like, these fires are going big. Let's just figure out what we're gonna do, like you said, kind of big box and figure out where we can plug in, because like one engine's not going to do anything on a big fire like that.
No.
But everyone, everyone's got that mindset like, oh, we can still go out and do some good work, which you can, but like, not on all of them. And so having that like sit down at the end of the day, like, all right, guys, like we need to slow down, think of what you're doing, like.
And we're just kids, man. What it comes down to, just
that's
kids.
True. We were all of us, man.
Just kids. I mean, we were hanging out at the pool that day.
Yeah, we were. Yeah,
You know, like,
yeah, just enjoying the day.
yeah. Like, oh man, the sirens are going off in town quite a bit here, and then you get a phone call. But yeah, just kids, you know. And I look back on that situation, and had I not had a supervisor that we did have, which I have a lot of respect for.
Same, and that could have been some damage for me.
Yeah,
you know, like if that was a bad supervisor, like all that kind of chaos going on and like stress, like little, but it was a lot for like a kid, like you said, like us, you know, coming up, and it's like if we had someone that would have handled that bad and not like as good as our supervisors did, like it's in like, yeah, man, you guys are learning, get it, you know, you guys are doing it and giving it like a hands off approach, man, and just being there to support, man, like. Yeah, I wouldn't be. I could probably wouldn't be the leader I am today, and just person, you know, on all levels, really.
Yeah, yeah, and you got to keep your world small. You know, that's one thing I learned from that. Just keep it simple, keep it small, and not overthink things. You know, and if you need help, get help. Then that's because we try to do so much with so little. But yeah, man, order what you need, and then and go from there. So, but you have to go through those stumbling blocks, you know, like you got to fumble through life a little bit, but
growing pains,
but you have to have support, you know, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, being able to talk, you know, like there's, you know, a little bit of the old military, like that wasn't kind of linger around the Forest Service. Oh, we just lost her. Oh, it looks like it might still be going. That was a little more strict on that, like not as in like here to help, but more as in like this is my expectations. I need you to get it done. Yeah. And like no questions, do it, and like you're like, oh, okay, you know, like well, it was pretty rare when I was coming up, but it was still there, so like it was still like in the back of your brain always, like if something happened, you're like, oh no, you know,
I think a lot of it was fear based too, you know. I think a lot of the teaching is like you shall do X because I say so. It's like now it's like it's way more open. Which is important. It's like it's okay, you know, like you can take your ego and throw it aside. Like I'm gonna ask you some questions, like why here, why now? You know, why are we doing this? Yeah. And man, if you don't get that from somebody that's giving you a direction to say, hey, man. So I think we've gotten better. Yeah. You know, there's still a lot of people out there that are just like, we're doing this and this is how it is. You know, it's just like, F off. But
asses and elbows.
Yeah, and there has to be there are times for that, you know. Yeah. But I think delivery is extremely important too. So,
yeah, man. But that thing might have died. Let me check this thing out real quick.
Camera went to you.
Alrighty, she's back live again. Let me sync this sucker. Alrighty, back with Greg Schenk. Take a little break.
The clap.
The GoPro keeps getting overheated on us.
Yeah.
So
it's not even that hot in here, dude.
No, that's what's bugging me. Yeah. I don't know. I have to upgrade the equipment, I guess. GoPro Hero 4. It's been good though.
Yeah. So good, dude.
A lot of good footage here, and man, the sauna is rolling. I can smell it. Beautiful.
We're gonna hit that up tonight.
Yeah, totally.
That's been a huge game changer, man. Like, I'm currently in the process of buying a place, and I do want to put some sort of sauna in there, and it might be external, but outside the house. But that's got to be a thing, dude, because that is like, I haven't been in one in more than like 15 years probably.
Really? Jeez, man.
Yeah, dude, it's legit.
Yeah, dude, I'm super happy to have one. I mean, lucky enough, I found one right before I had my last surgery for that pheochromocytoma, mouthful.
Yeah, dude.
And like I just kind of knew going in, and I've always wanted one. I grew up, you know, using this one and, you know, using the one in the gym. Yeah. So I always kind of wanted one. I knew they're really good for health, but, you know, mental health, all the good stuff. And and I knew that recovery was going to be a little while going through my muscles in my back, and I knew I wouldn't be able to do anything. So I was like, at least I can sit in the sauna, get my heart rate up and, you know, stay healthy that way and just keep my brain in it, you know, a little bit because, man, I got a surgery in, I don't remember, October or something. Yeah. And, I think October. I don't know. Yeah. Sometime like in the, you know, more the dreary days. So it was nice to have that.
Did you buy like a package deal or like essentially a kit where you just like have a space for it and then
I got super lucky. We got our unfinished basement and it had fit like right between the wall and the bathroom, like this space. And I would just I'd been hunting Craigslist for like a year, and then so finally I had found one that fit the price range, and I just happened to call this guy. He was down in Idaho City, and I wish I knew the guy's name. Super nice guy, man. And I just happened to be the first one to call him, and he got a bunch of hits on it. And it was when I found out, it was like an Almost Heaven, I think is the brand, and you can buy them through Costco. And this one was bought through Costco. I mean, it had like a folder of all the receipts, and then all the health benefits coming from like peer-reviewed articles from Mayo Clinic and a few other like top named hospitals and like research facilities on like how awesome saunas are for dementia, Alzheimer's, all those kind of aging diseases that, affect all of us, as family members, So it's like, wow.
Yeah. It's like the icing on the cake for the trip too, talking about doing things that you love, and taking time, like to have a sauna that you can get that thing ripping hot, go in there and sweat it out, and then jump in the Missouri.
Oh, man.
And then, like, just to be able to look out across and be like, holy shit, where are we, dude? Like, this is nuts, man. Yeah. It's super, super great, man. Great location.
Which is great to hear because, like, after the trip dried up on us, I was like, I know, to me, this place is great because I grew up here, so I was like, I need to, I wanted to make sure I was selling it to you guys, but not overselling it. And then also, like, how I'm like, I can't put into words, like, what this place is, So, like, the sauna, the river, the mountains, like, insane. And then, going out to my uncle's on Holter, maybe tonight or tomorrow. I mean, that's going to be another just aspect of awesome trip, Not the Smith, but, still pretty cool.
Yeah, man. I mean, just being able to pivot and have a contingency, dude, was, like, it's either that or we're going back to work. I mean, it's not a good option. Already had time, carved out.
Yeah, so. And the staycations, at least for me, don't work. If I'm in a staycation, I'm like, well, I could always start plugging away in that basement,
like whatever else. Dude.
Exactly, yeah. Like lawn always needs a little extra, a little extra TLC, all the landscaping really, So it's like, man, like getting away from it and. Like it's, this is actually a way, versus like staycation stuff that doesn't work for me,
No, it's good, man. Just humbled to be here, and it's been just a good reprieve from all of it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so pumped to have you. So pumped to hopefully this is like the first seed to many awesome trips down the road.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm down. You set the date. I'll try to make it.
Yeah, totally, man. Yeah, we'll set it early, and just like tentative time, and put in for the Smith every year, and hopefully land that one of these times. And I figure, like if nothing else, especially like this time of year when things are drying up, like we'll always have this for fallback, and because the Missouri is fished a lot, and it's it's pretty big water, like especially for us, like at least in Montana it feels like, and being able to get on the hatches, find the holes, and be able to like be successful in this river. It's a big deal, like.
Oh yeah. Yeah, not easy fishing. I mean, when you come to freshwater, or just not freshwater, but when you come to a new place that I haven't fished before, like I can go to the Madison, the Jeff, and catch fish all day.
Yeah.
Not all day, but you know what to use, right?
Yeah, you do pretty well.
Yeah, and you come over here, it's timing's everything, and then you're relying on the outfitters and the shops to be like, hey, this is what's working.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, man. Like
we saw one person today. We saw a lot of boats. We saw one person hooked up.
That's true. I think I saw two. Yeah.
So that's kind of tells the story. But
that's true. It makes you feel better about the day.
Yeah.
And
it's like I haven't caught a fish yet, and I'm usually catching a few at least.
Yeah. Or at least
look.
Yeah, at least getting some bites. Like I had nothing, man. I didn't even look, and then. Yeah, shout out to Grizzly Hackle, man. Those guys are so awesome, man. I talked to Rick over there, and him and the fellas set me up, and set me and the fellas up, with some tricos and some nymphs, and gave us kind of what's good on the river, this time of year, and a few tips, even on like how to fish and how to do our setup, because we're amateurs, so like we're trying to figure stuff out.
Best.
Yeah, well you got me beat, man. Like I'm, like
oh shoot, man, I'm
like a pro compared to me.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I've been fishing for. I grew up doing it, but like I'm not like some of these guys, like your brother. I mean, shit, that's what he lives and breathes, it seems like. So
yeah, he's been putting some work, man. He's fished the mow quite a bit, and the Bitterroot, and wherever he goes.
Take some nuggets out of what he's doing, and
he's
been super open to being like, yeah, try this, try that, So that's all you can do.
Yeah, totally, man. And and that's what me and Glenn Strauss were just talking about on the podcast, like, like being able to go out and like, put that ego to bed and be like, hey man, I don't know anything, help me out,
Yeah, I'm pretending out here, but I'm just going to need a little tip,
Yeah, it's like staying on the raft trying to do some like epic river run through it casting, and that's about the highlight of my day.
I tried a setup today that normally will catch fish on most rivers in Montana, and I fished that for like 3 hours, dude, and I didn't even have a bite. And it's tough right now because it's a lot of lettuce or salad, if you will. That's
a little cabbage.
Yeah, a lot of cabbage out there, and so you're snagging up basically on every cast. But
makes it super, especially nymphing,
Yeah, dude.
And was it 2 droppers, 1 rod or something? Was the setup?
2 droppers, 1 rod.
Yeah. So set up for the day.
Yeah, we're good.
Thought it was gonna be good.
We gave her hell.
Yeah.
But we got a couple more days left, so
yeah.
Which is good.
we'll pull it together. And that first stretch that we did, coming down from Craig, like that was some good action, and it didn't seem like as weedy, not as much lettuce on that first stretch at least, and
I agree.
so hopefully get back in that way and then get out to Holter and do some lake fishing. Hopefully get some perch and some walleye and even some lake trout maybe,
Which is I think I've fished for perch like once. It was in a local pond close to Whitehall, but outside of that, dude, I have done very little fishing on the lake.
Yeah,
which would be super fun.
Yeah, it'd be a good, nice change of pace, man. And like, where my uncle's place is, those docks, like the school just seems to hug that shoreline, and like, I don't know, man. It seems like every half hour is a new school getting chased by like whatever, set us in the area, and gets to relax, and especially those perch being like such prey fish. Whatever, like a walleye or big lake trout or whatever chases them out of there, and then usually get in the school of walleye that might be behind them, so you catch a few of those, and then things die off for a bit, and yeah, it's really fun, man, and just kind of a different, aspect of fishing that we can get into on this trip, which a lot of people don't ever have. It's like you fish in the river, you're fly fishing, and that's usually the game plan for your trip.
Yeah. No, it's good having the something different,
Yeah.
We can go fly fishing, we can go do this, we can do that, and so, or we can just chill, and that's totally cool too, man.
Yeah, the chilling part too, and that's kind of nice about this. It's like the bite's not on all day, what's going on with me? I'm like getting crowded in here by this host. It's probably just me, as normal. But yeah, like you get up early, hit the bite, and like fish for like we're getting like 4-hour stretches or so. Get out, have some lunch, go back to base camp. My grandma's there, and then settle in, and we did podcasting today, so that was kind of cool. But on other days, it's like take a little siesta.
Yeah, dude.
Which feels like that's maybe what we lost Glenn too. I'm not sure.
Probably.
No, I don't blame him.
You put in a good hour and 15.
Yeah, he put in a good podcast, man. Some good stories and stuff too. And we left a little bit on the table. So the next podcast we'll fill in a little bit more, especially about the brewing and stuff. And just some really good hunting stories.
Yeah, I was eavesdropping a little bit. He can deliver a pretty good, damn good story, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that's
man. Good. Yeah. That line, man. Don't let the truth ruin a good story. It's so good, man.
Yeah.
Like I was just talking about trying to, spruce up one of my stories. I mean, it's pretty good, but I don't remember what the story was. But I was like, let's add something to that.
Yeah. Well, he's done a lot, man. It's fun to listen to him. I take a lot from him. Just all kinds of stuff, dude.
Yeah, man. Like being a little bit older than us, and the life experience he's had is different than ours. And like to loop that back to the Forest Service, that's like the cool thing that I miss about being on like crews or something, like when there used to be like a throw together crew. Like you might be going with folks that you've never even met before, and you're just like kind of first kind of feeling each other out, and like usually by like day 2 or 3, like you're working together and get to know each other, and someone gives you a little shit for something, you're like but like in a good way, you're like, oh, all right, something funny.
Yeah, that was always hard, man. And I think what made a good Type 2 IA crew, which not all of them are created equal, but I do think it's a leadership thing, and trying to accelerate that time in which you can operate at a high level. I've had some really good crews as a crew boss or even as a squad boss, dude. Yeah. And it comes, like we talked about earlier, man, it just comes down to people and just trying to navigate conversations and trying to bring the best out of people. And not everybody, I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I've recognized that that's a thing and it needs to happen early and just pulling out the best in folks.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think you're pretty good at it, man, because that's like a big chunk of the battle. It's like being able to have that mindset to be like, all right, here's what I got. Here's what I don't have, but we can do it. We can make this work.
And that's a handy piece of information, man. And once you navigate those conversations, you just start relationship building, being able to recognize what you can and cannot do, and that's extremely important because there's a lot of folks like try to push the envelope or maybe a little too passive with what they can do.
Yeah.
It can get you in some funky. You can either be mopping up or burning out. It's like, it's like
exactly.
what it comes down to, and depending,
depending,
situation's different, but
totally depending on who you're working with, like, and if resources are thin, and you're a Type 2 IA crew that can handle a good workload and has a good work ethic and knowledge, like you got a pretty heavy crew, like with experience, like you said, you could be burning out, or if you got a little bit more of a new crew and you're not showing like you're as capable, like you might be mopping up a little bit, which, lessons learned there, like you do a lot of training, for newer folks, that don't have the experience, just mopping up. And like, I remember you did that for me on that fire out in the Big Hole, in Wisdom. It's kind of in between, I guess, Wisdom and Wise, but, like just talking about, what was going on, why we're doing what we're doing. Like especially mop-up stuff could be boring, and a lot of times people don't explain like what's going on. It's like, there's a stump hole. I'm gonna pour some water into it until it stops, hissing at me.
Right. Right. Yeah. And when you think about fire, like something so big can happen that it's created by something so small.
Yeah.
And so like trying to wrap people's heads around the fact that we're putting out these small things that still could create big things down the road, and that's why mop-up's so important.
Yeah.
We fucking hate it, dude. I mean, but it's part of the job. It's like 90% of the work we do.
Yeah.
And it's important.
Yeah, and you can have fun with it, like getting to know each other a little bit better. Things a little quieter. Like you can bump in, gritting or whatever. Like bumping down the line. Like in. Like people do the push-ups for the smokes, like how many smokes, that are left over, like that's great, great bonding, and give each other a hard time, like how did you miss that? But just how it goes, man. Like they pop up all the time. People could be doing an awesome job, and something's just kind of sitting dormant, and finally caught a little more fuel and start puffing a little bit,
Yeah. Yeah, that's all part of the job, man, and it's important, and that's what we get hired to do, and honestly, if you make it through a grid, like a successful grid without like choking people out, you're doing pretty good. Because that's out of all the stuff that we do, which I mean, there's a whole slew of things, but yeah, man, you can make it through a grid, especially with like a new Type 2IA crew trying to explain, like if they haven't been taught at home how to do it or have gone through the motions, and you're trying to be like, okay, this is how we're going to do this. You can see some, especially like day 14, man. Yeah. Oh my God, dude. I've seen some like almost borderline fist fights. So
people start like sending the message down the line, like it's something simple as moving, like, everyone's supposed to say moving, so you move and off the person to your left or right or wherever the grid's going. Yeah. Someone is like just not, helping out. People are just like, like the eyes come out like, oh. Yeah.
It's like, we have to do this. Yeah. All right. We have to do it right.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, that can break people.
Yeah, dude.
But it's good. It's it's good training, good exercise, man, and good thorough. Like especially if you're like grid the green, like that could get real boring. But if you're in some spotty stuff, like Cottonwood likes to spot, like you were fighting that stuff, you really got to make sure that all your green's covered.
Yeah. We were on a fire last year. It was on a different division than I was on, but they had a crew gridding like for like 7 days straight, which is like constant spots in the green, just like constant. They'd catch one. It was just super adverse where the division was at.
Yeah. I guess if you're getting spots though, it probably helps keep you like vigilant. Like I gotta be in my game here.
Yeah, kicking out grizzly bears.
The
whole time, dude. Oh yeah, there's like a sow and 2 cubs in there. They were just living in there, running aviation, doing all this stuff. There was a couple hundred people in that area, but yeah, man, it's just all part of it, dude.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to do it, but it's pretty essential.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it can really save your bacon, like find those spots, because like you could have something that's like, in some green looking fuel that you're like, what are we doing this for? And all of a sudden you find it, man. It's like, nestled between like 2 bushes. You're like, oh, it just started to like creep along the ground. You can see with the fingers, like a lot of times too, and like that duff or in the, like whatever kind of ground litter you have, and you can see like the fingers starting to go out. And you're like, yeah, I can see where that could go. A little more wind on this sucker, a little more heat.
Bitch.
Yeah, there's my bitch. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, man. But cool, dude.
Yeah. I guess back to the trip. I guess got a few more days out here, a few more things to try in the fishing world, and I feel like there's something else I was gonna ask you about. Fuel related, maybe. I don't know. I think we're in a pretty good spot here.
We're in a good spot.
Yeah.
Best spot, dude.
Yeah, I mean, just the fresh air, getting away, being able to unplug, important. And then just doing what you enjoy, like I think that's important, man.
Yeah.
And then, for anyone else who might be in the wildland world, just kind of taking care of people, recognizing when people are getting a little strung out,
Yeah.
Super important.
Yeah. Take time for yourself, man. And I sound like a huge hypocrite saying that, because like I said earlier.
Yeah, I meant to come back on that one. Did you have 1,000 plus last year for the season?
I was knocking on 1,300. Yeah, and that's not, like I said earlier, not a flex by any means. It's just like I was chasing it, but people were asking for help, and I got a lot of experience out of it. I think I did like 4 division assignments on it.
Yeah,
on there, and got to work with some phenomenal people, and it was close to home, which I would prefer that. Like it was busy on the Beaverhead Deer Lodge, and we had a lot of local teams on those fires, and I was like, I'm gonna pounce, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one fire I was on. I was sleeping at my parents' place, you know,
Oh,
and then
really?
I was also sleeping in my own house, you know. So it was convenient, you know, and like I said, we were busy, man, but I was working with some of my best friends, so
Yeah.
it made it really easy.
Yeah, that's huge, man. Like that's like as much as you don't really want fire in your backyard, it's like it makes it life a lot easier. Like to be able to go home and reset, you know, especially in the evenings. Like like back to 2000 whatever that was with the Antelope Fire and Pony Fire, 2011,
Oh boy,
12. I don't know.
11 or 12. I think it was 11.
I think you're right. And being able to have, that like even just like coming home to the bunkhouse to reset, and it makes a big difference in being on the road, not sleeping in the dirt, and like at camp where the generators are going off and people are driving at all hours of the night and coughing and hacking, slamming porta potty doors.
Yeah.
Oh man, people just
love
to slam
ignorant. But yeah, it's nice to be in my current job to be able to be flexible with what I want to do. If I don't want to go on assignment, I don't have to.
Huge.
I'm not answering phone calls. I am loosely attached to a team, but I'm not a primary. So it's like if they need help, great. They try to roster and get everything in line when they go up on the boards. But it's nice having that flexibility to do things like this and not have to be committed to being at home, or having to navigate, because I'm a one-man show at this point in time in Dillon. So
yeah, absolutely, man.
It's nice.
Yeah, beautiful country Dillon, man. Awesome place.
Yeah, dude. So
yeah, great place to work. And going to that fuel stuff, man. I mean, that seems like the big push of the Forest Service to go, or Forest Service. Gotta keep. What's a better word for all the agencies?
Yeah, there's a big push nationally for doing fuels reduction. You know, I think at that 100,000-foot view, looking down is very challenging.
Yeah.
And money doesn't fix everything. With infrastructure coming down the pike, it's like you can't pump a bunch of money into something if the planning piece is not there.
Yeah, we talked about that a bunch, even just last night.
Yeah, dude.
Over a nice cigar.
Yeah, and it's tough, dude. So yeah, if anybody out there is looking to get into fuels, and you and I talked about this, if you're wanting to get into fuels, it's a good gig. But I'd be asking some questions on where you want to go. Location is everything. 1 and 2, what kind of programs are already built? If you're coming into something fresh, and as the agencies are starting to create more fuels jobs that are new, because we used to have a bunch of fuels jobs, they got rid of them, and now we're bolstering those numbers back up, right?
Yeah.
If you're coming into a position that doesn't have that planning in place, to where you can come in that has like NEPA shelf stock ready projects for you to kind of crawl, walk, and then run, they may be looking at you as like fresh meat. Like if you're coming into a place that has nothing, they're going to be looking at you like, okay, we need a planner. It's like you're gonna fumble unless you have the skills to do that, and there's a lot more to it than just walking in there and
stabbing sticks.
Yeah. So
it's huge, and I think we talked about this a lot before too. Like in the fire side of things, at least for me, I felt like it was more reactive. Like it was like we're doing a little bit of fuels work, but we got like the fire can be kind of like the workforce for the whole district. Like trails or range or weeds, whatever it might be, like, and we are, we're the crew, and it's kind of cool, like, especially when I first started, to be able to do all those different positions, and see what every different part of, like for us, the Forest Service does, like departments, I guess, what the different departments do. And so like, but it's, it wasn't like we were like doing much to prevent fires at that point, besides maybe like our thinning and stuff, and prescribed fire wasn't as active, at least, when I first got in. So like seeing more prescribed fire and being a little more active with the thinning and doing, like, now we're doing plots and stuff. So like being more proactive versus reactive is nice to see. And maybe it's just because I'm getting my later years of my career, and like, nothing's changing. It's getting worse. So it's like, I want to be part of something that kind of turns the tide, like from crazy big fires to like manageable fires again,
Yeah, man. I mean, how do you reverse 120 plus years of Smokey Bear propaganda, right?
That's what I was going to say, Smokey Bear, man. Oh, God. I think I touched on this on another podcast, but like, it sucks to say it, but he's been kind of, it's, like the Smokey Bear message is coming back to haunt us, you know? Because, it was like all fires are bad, and it's not the case,
Right. Yeah. And so we have so much buildup out there, and then like there's a huge public and information component to that. That's probably more important than anything else. It's like, well, what are we really doing and why? And that's probably one of the most challenging things out there.
Yeah. Getting the message out, like, and I feel for a lot of the folks who don't understand or don't know what's going on. Like, you go through a rough fire season, you get, I don't know, a couple weeks off, get some weather change, and all of a sudden, like, your local agency's up there burning the hillside again. Yeah. You're like, wait, I just got done with this, man. Yeah. Like, why is there more smoke in the air?
Yeah, right. I've been sucking particulate matter for the last 3 months, and now you're trying to light, spring fires and stuff.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, why? So the information's key, man.
Yep.
And it's super challenging. I run into my job right now, and I'm not in a really populated area, but yeah, you put smoke in the air, people have questions, know.
Yeah,
and
totally.
So, I mean, I get phone calls on my work phone all the time on what are you doing?
Yeah.
Let me see your land use plans. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And then I work a lot with private landowners as well. So
yeah, dude.
Having a common message across the board, and then yeah, you're not going to make everybody happy. I know that.
No, that's for sure.
You're never going to make everybody happy.
Yeah, and yeah, like all the information, like, what people think, what is like, what's happening for like ecology, right? Is that the right word? Ecology?
In regards to
like the health of the forest, like people don't really understand like thinning and logging, that's ecology, right? The ecology part of that, I guess.
Yeah. It'd be like forest ecology or the
forest ecology,
yeah, the ecology of the ecosystems and how they
yeah.
came to be, 1 and 2. I think one of the big things now is that people can't detach from is the fact that humans are a part of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have been for a lot of years, for hundreds and thousands of years, right?
Yeah.
But they don't like to see people doing work. There's people that do and there's people that don't.
Yeah. Yep.
So how do you find that happy medium?
Yeah. Kind of bridge that gap, Yeah, it's tough, man. I think, hopefully stuff like this, like us talking, kind of explaining, like, well, like good fires prevent bad fires,
right.
like, and that's, the prescribed fire thing and cleaning up the forest. And
right.
anyone who's been, from Butte to Helena can see that lodgepole stand is not looking great.
It's not good.
Yeah.
And getting the message out there that a lot of these fires we cannot go direct on or we will kill people. I think that's a big, heavy lift that we've done when I was working in Whitehall, is managing those fires in such a way that we're managing them in such a way that it was, confine and contain strategy.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like going up there, hiking in there. You have no LZs, you have no extraction. And then, we're allowing these fires. We're not necessarily allowing them to do that. It's just like we have no other option.
Yeah.
It's like we have to back off or we will kill people. We need to get them. We need to be strategic on how we go about these operations,
Yeah.
And it was hard to get over the hump
for
that. And now it's like, that fire last year, the haystack fire just outside of Boulder, we had a lot of buy-in because they'd seen what had been done in the past and done safely. We had very minimal injuries or accidents. We had 0 fatalities, thank God.
Oh, good, man.
And that fire was coming out, dude. It was coming out to Boulder. And they ended up basically burning that whole front end of it. And it's going to be locked in for a long freaking time. So, yeah, man, it's challenging. But anyway, back to the fuel stuff. And we have to be, like you said, more proactive. So
yeah, absolutely. It makes, and the thing is, in the end, it makes a healthy forest for all of us. I think, that's the message I think people, like, hopefully are getting or need to maybe pay attention to or just hear, I guess. Like right now, that forest by the haystack fire and the one that I IC'd years ago that, was type 3 that King had that got handed down to me, you can't hike through that forest. You can't recreate through that forest.
No, man.
It's so jackstrawed and nasty with all the dead and down, and it's just going to keep getting more dead and down because all that bee will kill. There's not even wildlife's going in there. Like, it's very unhealthy for everybody, not just humans. Like, anything that's trying to live in there. Elk can't go through there, and no animals, like squirrels maybe. But nothing's growing in there, though, because all the dead and down on top of the, forest floor, so... Yeah, it's not. It needs to be cleaned up, and Mother Nature usually does it. Used to do it herself, like back in the day.
Yeah.
And we've been kind of preventing that for a while.
We've been doing a really good job preventing that.
Yeah.
And now it's we're getting a big push, nationally to do more work. Keep doing more with less, I guess. But
a little bit of that.
Yeah, I digress. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's fun. It's challenging.
It's awesome.
But yeah, if you're coming into a new place that is starting from ground zero, I would have questions.
Yeah, and just like most people have heard or you should hear is that you're being interviewed, but interview the people who are interviewing you, right? It should go both ways, right?
Right.
Like if you're interested in fuels or fire or any aspect, on the outside, being out in your local public lands, you got to figure out what the job is going to be, and if that's a good fit. Like it happens a lot in the fire world where people are like, that sounds really cool, and then like they get out and like, I don't know, Salmon Breaks, for example, and it's just like straight up and down, and hot, not shade, there's no trees really, like that'll make me change a few minds,
Yeah.
So knowing that, that definitely helps, and then like you said, like the kind of program you may be interested in or want to build, like especially in the fuels kind of thing, and understanding the forest you're working with, like you said, not only the overhead but the actual like ecology, like what's the timber stands like in that area, like and the moisture and all that stuff you're gonna be dealing with, man. Like it all definitely comes into play,
Yeah, and fire may not be the tool. We got to be
Totally.
creative on that stuff. So we have to have the skill set and the knowledge to understand what the end state is going to look like.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of units that I have that are 1,000-acre units that don't need fire.
Yeah.
We're trying to reduce the conifer encroachment in there. And so, and there's a lot of units that we slash and burn. There's some units that we just burn. So
Yeah, totally.
You're trying to piece all that together, and you got to rely on a lot of people that have a lot more knowledge than you do.
Yeah.
Say, hey, this is why we're doing this, because of whatever it's like wildlife, soils, with the watershed as a whole. So
Yeah.
teasing all that stuff out, man. You just gotta build the team and see what you can do.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think we're pretty beneficial of having those resources in Region 1, like Missoula is such a hub, we got the university.
Yeah.
We've got Fire Lab, at NTDP now, it used to be MTDC.
Yeah.
And then, countless other people who are just like on districts that have either been around for a while or just, like maybe just really into their jobs, like silviculture or soils, like you said, and fuels and fire ecologists, like we're getting some good brains on it, and and like you said, it's it's a tall order, but like I think we're in a good direction, and anyone who's like thinking about in a career in the outdoors, man, for public lands, like we're stewards, right? Of this public land, and we're trying to make it better for everybody,
Yeah.
And so I encourage anybody who's interested. I mean, the pay's not great. It's getting better, but
Yeah. Yeah, man. I think there's one thing that we all as humans can't argue, and that is water availability, and so that's one of my big pitches. It's like we know how much water these trees are sucking up. We know how much landscape has changed based on old aerial imagery and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to get it back to a state of where it once was. It'll never get there, but we can always make a dent, and have a positive impact. And it's not always beautiful. It's not always like the greatest, end state, but it does show change, and how we're doing the best we can,
Yeah, exactly, man. And with the given knowledge, and like I don't know, man, I'm not so vain to think that like our generation's the best and that we have all the answers. Like who knows, man? By the time I retire, like it could be a whole different beast, man. Like we could have a different statement, man. Like mission and end statement, man. So end state, right? Mission, end state.
Yeah.
Man,
Killing it.
Doing great. Words, just saying words.
Just words, man.
Yeah. Well, dude, I really appreciate it, man. You got anything else?
I'm good, dude. This has been great.
Oh, dude, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you coming on here. Appreciate you coming on the trip, man. This trip's been awesome. And we're not even, we're like kind of halfway through, I guess, at this point. But like, a lot of cool stuff. Hopefully more fish to catch, because right now I am skunked. I haven't even.
Yeah, me too.
I had one fish grab my hopper, pretty much right in front of me, and then spit it back out. So,
oh, jeez.
Yeah, so that was pretty awesome to watch.
Yeah. Rock and roll, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, dude. Thanks for the invite.
Yeah, thanks for being on here, man. We'll get after some fish. Thanks for anybody who turns in. Please subscribe and like if you enjoy the channel.
Hit the like button.
That's hit the like button. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, I hear. And subscribe. helps support me and hopefully keep these things running.
It takes zero effort.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.